or two. I apologize.
No problem. No problem. Hi there, Twins fans. My name is Seth Stowes of Twins Daily and twinsdaily.com. Thanks for joining us tonight on another episode of Twins Spotlight. We're trying to do a couple episodes every week, trying to get you, familiar with some of the prospects of the Twins system. We've had some major leaguers on. A couple of weeks ago, we had a few players' wives on. We even had an actor on here last week. We've had a couple of actors on with Nico Gordato as well as Thomas Nicholas. But let's get to tonight's Twins Spotlight. It is with Twins right-handed pitching prospect and 2020 draft pick Marco Raya. He was the Twins' fourth-round pick just last year out of United South High School in Laredo, Texas. Very intriguing prospect, very exciting prospect, and I'm sure he's very anxious to start his professional career here. But let's bring him into the conversation. Marco, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Well, following you on social media, and again, for those watching, down on the bottom, we're going to show his Instagram and his Twitter account, so you can be sure to follow him. I'm just going to ask you, Mark or Marco?
On the baseball side, like with the Twins, everyone usually calls me Marco, but like everyone's always called me like Raya or like Raya because that's my last name. Like in travel ball in high school and stuff, that's what everyone's called me, but it doesn't really matter.
All right. And again, those watching, please feel free to join us by asking a question, sending a comment. Twins Daily, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're at, we're happy to ask those. So let's start with this. We'll go with Marco. What are your earliest memories of playing baseball? Does Laredo have a big little league program in city, or what type of baseball program did you have there?
Yeah, I mean Laredo is like pretty much like a more of a baseball city than anything, and the earliest memories I have are when I was probably like the earliest memory I have is actually when I was like my very first t-ball game when I was 3 years old. It's actually where I met my best friend, and that's like my earliest memory. Also when I was younger, like even before that before I started playing, like just going to my older brother's baseball games, like in full uniform and stuff, like just going to the games. So yeah.
What did you play other sports? Were you involved in any other sports, or was it all baseball all the time for you?
Growing up, I played a couple years basketball, and in middle school and my freshman year in high school, I played basketball. But other than that, no, not really. I never really played football. My parents never let me play football. But yeah, it's either baseball like all the time, and then like here and there, I'd play basketball.
Now, obviously, you were drafted as a pitcher, and your stuff explains why you were drafted as a pitcher. Have you always pitched? Did you play other positions at all?
No, I actually like growing up. I played shortstop up until like I want to say maybe like 5th grade, 6th grade, around there. That's when I started pitching. But like it wasn't really like to where like I just started pitching like all the time. Like at that time, it was just like pitching like in tournaments like here and there and stuff. But I didn't really get into like really pitching was like 7th, 8th grade, and then from there I just like when I got to high school, I turned into a PO. And then my senior year, I was gonna play shortstop for my high school, but our season got cut short, so I was just able to pitch that year.
Now I know, you've obviously become a big prospect. I mean, only 5 rounds this year. When did you start to realize that you had a chance? Did you start playing travel ball, maybe even some national travel ball, perfect game, those types of things at some point?
Yes, I started playing travel ball actually really early when I was like about 8, 9 years old. I started playing with Team Cities, and then from there, I mean, every summer I just played travel ball. But I never really like growing up. I was like the smaller guy on the team and stuff like that, and I was never really the one that do the hardest. I was never really the one that had like all the good stuff and stuff like that. So I didn't really know that I was like I could like I had this much potential until probably my sophomore year in high school when I committed to Texas Tech. That was probably like when like that was really an eye opener for me.
I want to ask you about that decision, but I know you have an older brother that played college ball. Tell me a little bit about your family and baseball, and maybe kind of where that love originated.
Yeah, my family is very like baseball oriented and stuff like that, like sports wise and stuff. Um, my dad played baseball in high school. My mom played tennis in high school, and then I have my older brother that played baseball, and he started off in Western Texas, up by Snyder, Texas. He started JUCO there, and then he transferred to TAMU down here in Laredo. So he had some college, he played college ball, and then my sister, she ran track in high school, and she like she made a bunch of regional like track meets and stuff like that. So like it runs in our family, but like baseball, like more than anything, I was basically born into the sport. So yeah.
Coming from Laredo, do you have a favorite team? Is it the Astros? Is it the Rangers? Is it the Spurs of basketball? I mean, who do you root for down in Laredo?
I never really like had like many favorite teams like in professional sports, but growing up, like mainly like the only basically team that I like rooted for growing up was actually the Red Sox. Me and my mom were really huge Red Sox fans.
Did you have like favorite players to watch, or were they hitters or were they pitchers?
I would always watch Pedro Martinez. I'd always watch him like his highlights and stuff like that. And my mom's favorite player was always David Ortiz. Like she was in love with him. It was crazy.
Well, Twins fans were until he went and signed with Boston and became
Yeah.
potential Hall of Famer. Again, just a reminder, we're talking with Marco Raya, Twins draft pick in 2020. Quite the interesting prospect as you start thinking about the scouting reports that you hear about him. But I want to talk a little bit. You said you committed to Texas Tech, which is a big-time college baseball school, Division I, as a sophomore. When did you start hearing from college coaches, and what was that like? I mean, were you a freshman or sophomore, or when did that happen?
I was actually a freshman, but like it was just like smaller schools that were really contacting me. So like I just but they weren't really like making any offers. They were just like talking to me, showing like interest and stuff like that. But not up until my sophomore year. My sophomore year was actually the same thing. Like it was just colleges showing interest, and I went up to I went up to a camp in Texas Tech with my travel ball team, like a showcase type thing, and they saw me there, and I literally threw like one inning, and the like later that night the coaches talked to me and stuff, and they offered me, and I mean like they showed me around the campus and stuff like that, around the clubhouse like there, and it was great. Like the coaches, the players, everyone like just made it seem like it was home and stuff like that. So I just like it was I made the decision right then and there.
Well, that's awesome. So then, as you got to your junior and senior years, did you have good teams? Did you play on good teams that won a lot of games, or maybe just okay teams?
Yeah, actually, my high school team was pretty good. My junior year I was out, but like even like without me, my team at school, they made it up into the fourth round of playoffs, and we're a 6A school, so that was pretty huge. And my senior year also, I was sure that we were gonna make it pretty far, but because of COVID, our season got cut short. But from my freshman year up until my senior year, our team was really good.
That's fantastic. Now, I bring this up because I just happened to look right before we came on. Obviously, it was a big year in 2020 for your high school, United South High School in Laredo. I'm going to forget the name now. I had it already. Roel Ramirez made his major league debut, and he went to your high school, drafted in 2013, debuted with the Cardinals, just pitched in one game, but I imagine that was pretty exciting for the guys on your team who probably looked up to him.
Yeah, there was like even like not just in my school and my teammates, like all over Laredo, it was a pretty big deal because it had been like the first guy in a while since Freddie Benavides that made his debut in like the majors and stuff. So and like being from my school, and then me the same year he makes his debut, me being drafted, like it was pretty crazy stuff. So that was really exciting, and he's actually one of my brother's friends because he graduated in my brother's class. So like even before then I knew him and stuff, and now I throw like he's in campus spring training, but when we were here and when he was still here in Laredo, we'd go and throw at the field and stuff together.
Oh, that's fantastic. So let's start thinking about last year a little bit. You're excited for your senior year. You've got graduation. You're a senior. You're looking forward to baseball, and then obviously all this COVID stuff hits. But I do want to ask. I know that the Twins made a special trip, one of their higher ups, to come watch you pitch early in the year, and at that point they knew they wanted to draft you pretty much. I mean, did you feel that you were scouted by professional scouts last year, or did you see that even the year before?
My junior, like the year before, not really too much, but my senior year, definitely. There was like almost every game that I was throwing at, like there was at least one scout there. So I actually remember when one of the tournaments in Corpus Christi, Texas, I pitched that. That was definitely like the game with the most scouts at, and I was like, I knew there was a few scouts that were gonna be there because they contacted me and asked me, but once I got there, like I had no idea that it was gonna be that many. So when I got to the field, I wasn't really paying attention to like who was there. Like I just walked in and started getting ready for my outing stuff. And once I got on the mound for to warm up, I just looked behind the backstop, and like like all of the bleachers in the backstop, like full of scouts. Like there were so many, it was like crazy. But I didn't like when I'm pitching, I just enter my zone, and I'm like in tunnel vision, so I didn't really like pay attention, and I had a great game that night.
Is that hard to do? I mean, were you able, I mean, how do you focus on that when, I mean, you also understand that's probably big part of your future too.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand that that it was like very important for me to like do good and do what I do, but like I said, like when I'm on that mound, like I really don't pay attention to anyone. Like when people are screaming in the bleacher in the stands and stuff, like I can't really hear anything. Like I'm just like one time I was having a conversation with my dad that like he was telling me that I never pay attention to him when he's like telling me stuff from like the side of the field, and I'm like I can't hear you. Like when I'm pitching, like I see is the catcher and the batter, and everything else like I just see blurry. So
Yeah.
so
Oh, that's
I
a
mean
great thing.
I just try
That's a
not to get
great
too much
thing.
into anything.
Yeah. So I know you posted on YouTube a video of the day that you were drafted, and
Mm-hmm.
just a regular day. You went and worked out, got your hair cut, but then you had a lot of people, a lot of family, I guess, and friends and such were there with you. Just who are some of those people, and who are the people that have kind of helped you get to this point in your career?
Yeah, that night, that was more of like mostly family and stuff, but I had a few of my friends there. And I mean, those are just the people that are really close to me that I mean, like my loved ones and stuff that I talk to like on a daily basis. So like they were there, like they were the ones there supporting me and stuff. But the people that have had like the most impact in my life, like in my baseball career, have been definitely my dad and like my family, my mom, my brother, like all of them, and my travel ball coach Omar, and my pitching coach here in Laredo, Chapa. They've been like the ones that have impacted me the most in my baseball career.
That's awesome. And then I saw you got a call from I'm guessing a twin scout, or maybe it was even Sean Johnson saying you should probably start watching TV. And then he called you a little bit further. But talk a little bit about that moment that you got that call. You knew it was about to happen, and then you heard it on the TV. I mean, the celebration was fantastic. But what's going on in your head? What's going on in your mind and your heart and all of that?
Actually, a funny story was the game that I believe that was like the game that really like put me cross me over that line to get that spot to be drafted. I didn't even know anyone was at that game. Like Sean Johnson was at that game, and I didn't even know he was there. So, and I threw a one hitter shutout game. So that was, I mean, that was a pretty funny story. But back to your question, that moment was like was like it's just like you don't really know what to feel. Like it's just you're in shock because like everything that's all you worked for, that just that simple phone call, that like that's all you work for, and as like since you're a kid growing up playing ball, um I mean, like you just don't really know what to feel. Like it takes a while to kick in.
I forgot to unmute. Sorry about that. That phone call is huge, and they were basically saying, "Hey, we'll give you a call back, but enjoy this tonight." What was kind of the next couple of days like for you? I imagine your phone was blowing up a little bit, and those around you were excited. But what were the next steps? Did you go up to Target Field at some point, or what were the process, especially with COVID going on? Were you able to get up to Minneapolis?
Yeah, actually that night after, like right after I got that call and like I got picked and it came up like on the TV and stuff, like my phone just started going crazy. Like 15 minutes after I got picked, like my phone literally stopped working. Like it froze and then it just like turned off and it wouldn't turn on. And it was crazy. But yeah, a few weeks later, I went up to Minnesota to Target Field and I signed my contract and I got shown around like the stadium and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Were the Twins at home? Were you able to meet some of the either front office or players or manager or anything?
No, actually, there was very few people there because of like COVID and stuff. Like there wasn't really many people there. So like I met a few people and like I signed my contract, but I actually got a call from Byron Buxton
Oh.
and like just congratulating me on like getting picked and stuff, and yeah, like it was crazy. Like just such like a great experience overall.
And I think Alaric Soulere was also there when you signed. So it
Hmm.
had to be kind of nice to have at least another player there with you to go through that process.
Yeah, that was the first time that I met him. Like I had a few friends from here that like from Laredo and stuff, and also that played travel ball that knew him, that played with him in travel ball before he obviously got drafted and played at Tennessee. But me personally, that was the first time meeting him. But I mean, that's a cool dude. I met like he also went down with me to Instructs, and like I saw him there a few times. So that was pretty cool.
Did you, I mean, through your days and your time in Texas or maybe at national things, did you know anyone in the Twins organization beforehand? Maybe I know the Twins, the fifth round took Kalai Rosario out of high school. I mean, any chance you guys played against each other or together on a national tournament or anything?
No, and none of the draft picks or any or from the 2020 class or anything like. No, and I had never really played against anyone like travel ball or
So
anything.
after you got signed, what was kind of the next process? Because at that point, nobody knew what was happening. I think people probably knew there wasn't going to be a minor league season, but I don't think that was official yet. So, what were you doing at that point? I mean, were you able to keep pitching and throwing?
At that point, I had been hearing so many things about there might not be a minor league season, like that there, and even I also heard stuff that there might be. So I was just waiting for like calls and stuff to see if I was gonna report or stay home or what was just gonna happen in general. But they did end up canceling the season, and then a bunch of coordinators and pitching coaches from the Twins, they like sent me programs and stuff to start to keep throwing and like just start training here at home. And then obviously once I got done to instructs, like the only thing different was that I was not at home and that I was just in the complex.
Did you have, say, people that you could, a catcher to throw to, or some guys that wanted to take some live at bats against you back home?
At first, I did struggle a little bit to find like people or like someone to catch me because either like they were either always like busy or something, or like sometimes like some of the guys just didn't want to catch me. So at first I did have trouble finding someone to catch me, but now I have a guy that goes and catches me when I need to.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned that you were in contact with some of the Twins coaches, the pitching coaches, coordinators. Who are some of the people? I mean, I'm guessing it would have been, I'd probably not Pete Mackey, but maybe a Justin Willard, or or something like that. Were they able to get you equipment, or was there anything they were able to kind of instruct? Was it coaching, or was it just how are you doing, getting to know you?
Yeah, one of the main guys that I was like in contact with on a daily basis with Justin Willard. He was the one that like I was mainly in contact with, but it was mainly just like programs and stuff like where and when it started and like how like just like in the gym and out of it like on the field, like it was just like new to me really. So like from the stuff that I had been doing before the draft. So I mean, yeah, it was just like it was like a it was like a quick transition, but I mean, I adapted pretty quickly.
So you mentioned a couple times that you went to instructional league after this, in October. I think it was 5 or 6 weeks. What were kind of your thoughts heading to instructional league? Was it for you? Was it more about development, or was it in part just getting to know people and meet people?
I wasn't really too worried about like oh like I'm not gonna know anyone or stuff like that. Like just like I wasn't really going with the mentality of like I'm just gonna go meet like new people or like meet people from the organization because I mean like when I played in travel ball and stuff like that at like when I started playing with them it was the same thing like I didn't really know anyone and I started playing with them, but like pretty quickly, like I just got close to my teammates and the coaches and stuff like that. So like it was the same thing down here in Instructs. Like I just got there and literally like the same day I started talking to a few of the guys, and by the time I knew it, like we were all like pretty like close friends and stuff, just like chopping it up and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So what was that process like? You move into the dorm, basically, you get to know some of the guys. What was a typical day? I mean, I assume it starts with breakfast and then some work.
Yeah. Actually, when we first got there, we had to quarantine a few days because of COVID. So I mean, that was pretty brutal, just staying in that one room for like days at a time. So that was pretty brutal. But on like when we started training and stuff like that and practice, our daily like what our day would look like would be like in the mornings we wake up, have breakfast, and then head to the clubhouse and then do our warm up in like the weight room and then go out for dynamic stretching and then we get our throwing done and then just stuff like that and but it would vary with different days.
Now, I'm mean and stuff, so I asked you if you had a baseball, and I thought if we could kind of talk through it. You've got quite the pitch mix, and I think just from the quotes that came from Sean Johnson or others after the draft, they talked about not only do you have 4 pitches, but you've got great makeup, great charisma, great just leadership ability, all these types of things. I mean, they were very much impressed. But I do want to talk a little bit about those pitches now, and maybe if you're again show us the grips that you've got on those. Let's start with the fastball. You had a fastball in the low 90s. That's, I mean, I think 94 you hit and things like that. So there's a good fastball there, especially for how young you are. How do you throw your fastball? Is it 2-seam or 4-seam?
I throw a 4 seam with I grab it with the closed grip right here,
Okay.
but I bring the horseshoe like on the inside of my hand, like this part of the baseball. I bring it like on the inside part of my hand, and I just like on the thumb grip, like I just put it on like on the like on this lace, like more of like for control. So I mean that's my 4 seam is just like a 4 seam.
Okay. And is that, I mean, do you also throw a 2-seam or you just throw the 4-seam?
I don't really throw a 2 seam, but right now I'm working on a sinker.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about the changeup. I believe the changeup you've talked about as being maybe right now your 4th pitch. I don't know if that's true, but the pitch you're really working on. Obviously, it's a big pitch for any starting pitcher. Talk a little bit about that pitch, how you grip it, and kind of what you're working on with that, without getting into
I
detail.
yeah. My changeup is I'm working on it. It's getting better just day by day. But I like my changeup. I put like I grip it. I don't really throw like a circle change. Like I don't really grip it like this. Like I
Hmm.
just put my index finger like flat, like right there, and
Okay.
then put my thumb down here, like on this part of the baseball. But not, I don't really like put pressure or anything on that one. Like I just like kind of like leave it loose, and then
Okay.
on my top two fingers, I put them not on the lace, but like more of like to the side a little bit. So, and the same with this one. So when I throw it, like I don't really have to like just like pull down or like prone or anything. Like just when I throw it, like my fingers are like on their own are gonna like push with the laces, and it's just gonna create that spin and get that break.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like just you're working with friction and physics and science and stuff. That makes a lot of sense the way you explain that. Now, I've also heard and read that you've got two breaking balls, both a hard slider and a slower ball. Well, first of all, let's see the grips on those. What's the differentiation in the grip between the slider and the curve ball? And secondly, do you have a strategy for when you use one or the other?
My curveball I actually throw a spike, so I
Okay.
like grip it. I put this finger on this seam to,
Okay.
but like I don't put it on it. I put it more of like a little bit to the side. So when I throw it and like I put this finger up right here, and then my thumb just down here on the seam
Okay.
like that. So when I throw it, I just think of like a 12-6, just come up and just pull down with this finger like right here, and it's more of I only have two fingers on the ball, so it's more of like a slower curveball, but
Okay.
it has a pretty big break, and so that's how I throw my curveball and my slider. I grip it like a two seam, like just like a regular two seam,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of on my release point, instead of coming like around it or like kind of like not around it, but like how I would a curveball, like a lot of more action on the wrist. I kind of like just cut it at the end, like with my index and my middle finger. When I go here, I just like cut it, and it's like a
Okay.
sharper, harder break.
Well, that's fantastic. Do you feel pretty comfortable with those two pitches? Or do you feel like you can, I mean, one, get swings and misses, but also just be able to throw strikes as needed too?
Yes, my curveball actually, I'm pretty like comfortable with throwing any pitch for a strike actually, but my slider is actually the pitch that I'm very consistent with. Like my slider, like I'm always like it's like you like there's days like as a being a pitcher, like you have those days where sometimes you just have a bad day and like nothing's on. But like with me, even on those bad days, like my slider, like it's weird. Like I feel like I'm just like the most comfortable with that pitch. Like even like when I'm having a bad day, the slider is like it's more for like almost 100% of the time it's on.
That's fantastic. Again, last few minutes here with Marco Raya, Twins right-handed pitching prospect. It's been a lot of fun. And again, if anyone wants to leave a question or ask a question or a comment, please feel free to do so. And we'll just keep the conversation going. I know Patrick wants to say hi. Hi, Mark.
Hey Patrick.
I did want to ask, I mean, the sinker, is that something you decided you wanted to work on, or is that something that you were able to work with, say, the Twins on developing as an important pitch?
Um, Even like when I was still in high school, like there was always a pitch that I kind of like worked on, but never really like worked on it to the point where like I was gonna include it in like my pitch like my pitching like with my pitches. But like now, like I'm like really working on it, like so I can include that pitch and have that fifth pitch and just like be like very effective more than I already am. But yeah, like I'm working on it right now, but I just still need some time.
No, people talk about spin rate a lot and about your breaking pitches have good spin, but also your fastball has good spin with the four seamer. Is that something, I mean, is that something you work on and develop, or is that just something that was natural and you found out, I've got the numbers to back it up?
Actually, believe it or not, up until my senior year, I didn't even know like I didn't have anything to check what my spin rates were. I didn't have that rep soto. I didn't have any of that. So like up until my senior year, like I knew what like the spin rate was and all of that, but I never really knew like what mine was. up until my senior year. So I mean, like that's pretty crazy.
So I want to ask, I mean, I know you only had the, say, 5 or 6 weeks in Fort Myers for instructs. I believe you're probably headed to spring training here within the next couple of weeks. Ready, I'm sure, and excited, I'm sure, to start your first full season. But I guess my question is kind of related. Did you have any or much experience with the technology that I'm sure was used at instructional leagues? Is that all new to you? And are you excited to kind of learn some of that?
Yeah, when I got to instructor, it was fairly new still. Like I knew like I had worked with it like a few times before then, but when I got there, it was still fairly new. But now I'm like, I know how like the twins use it and like how it works and stuff. So like yeah, like right now I'm just getting ready. Actually, we just got a report date for March 31st. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm just ready to get down there and start my season.
Yeah, just a little over a week, and we'll have reports from the fort on the minor leagues. That'll be a lot of fun. Here's a question we got from Darren that I think is a good question here. It's actually multiple questions. We'll put that up on the board, and I'll read it here. Darren asks, what is your pitching mentality? Just throw hard, go high, go low, work the corners. How do you like to attack hitters?
My pitching mentality, I just in my head when I get on the mound and my goal is to beat that hitter at every situation possible. Like at every single pitch, just beat him at it and just attacking him. But just depends on the batter and like the hitter and like how like if they're an oppo hitter, if they're a pull hitter, that's just depending on how what type of hitter it is. That's how I work the batter.
Let me kind of add, thank you, Darren. That was a great question. I want to kind of add to that. When you're going at your best, what's working? I mean, like you said, that one hit game in Corpus Christi, that Sean Johnson was there and you weren't aware of that. What was working? I mean, when things are on, what makes you successful?
Just repetition, really, just repeating every single pitch, just repeating and repeating and repeating and um just staying on top of what I'm and knowing what I'm doing. And if I throw a pitch and maybe I'll throw it like a little bit right over the plate and like they fought it off or they put it in play, like I gotta know, like in my head I gotta know what I did wrong so that won't happen again. So it's just like repetition and just knowing and adjusting to the mistakes that I make throughout the game.
Now, I know that comps in baseball or comparisons in baseball are never really fair because people get compared to all stars and things like that. And in your case, you got drafted by the Twins. So I think the comp for you may or may not be fair. But I mean, I see a lot of Jose Barrios in you. And I think you're about the same height, about the same build, multiple pitches. And he is touted for his work ethic. And I know people have talked over and over again about your work ethic. So I just see a lot of similarities. Would you consider that a good thing? And have you had a chance to kind of watch him at all, or do you even see that as a fair comparison?
I mean, yeah, I've heard about those comparisons that, but I kind of do see it a little bit. And like growing up and playing ball in high school and stuff, I mainly like looked at Stroman. Like that was like he was like my favorite guy, and like I just paid attention to like a lot of stuff that he did. But really, I'm just trying to write my own story and just like just write out my own career and like make a name for myself.
Good call. And also, I've also read that you're very competitive. Is that true? Do you think you're very, very competitive?
Yeah, yes, I am. I'm a very I don't know how to lose. I do not know how to lose.
Well, it'll be interesting. Got a comment here from Andrew real quick. I'm going to read through. Good interview. Hope more people see this and get the process behind what y'all do. Glad the Twins drafted you, Marco. Keep up the hard work and hope you enjoy the journey to the show. So
I
great.
appreciate it, Andrew.
Yeah. So let's get to know outside of baseball. What are some of the things you enjoy doing? You just graduated. I believe you graduated a couple of days after you were drafted. What are some of the things you enjoy doing outside of baseball?
I don't really do much. Like my life is like just evolved like completely around baseball, but like basically the only thing I do like outside of like the field, the gym and stuff like that, I really just hang out with my friends and stuff. We go bowling like every now and then. But I mean, other than that, either I'm at home with family or I'm out with my friends bowling and stuff like that. Or sometimes we won't even go out. Like we'll just stay, hang out at one of the guys' house and just chill there and talk and stuff.
That's awesome. I mean, you enjoy? I mean, have you been anywhere that you played ball that you really enjoyed? Do you go to the beach in Corpus Christi? I suppose that's about the closest. I mean, Laredo is right on the Mexican border. I don't know if that's something if you're able to get across often or. You live in an area. I mean, I live on the Canadian border, literally 3 miles from the Canadian border. And so it's kind of interesting and fun talking to you on the opposite side of the country. So, just what are some of the things in your area that people enjoy doing?
Mainly down here, the food's really good and stuff. But down here, you really don't want to go across the border to Mexico. Down here, yeah, down here there's not really much to do in Laredo and stuff like that. Other than like if you go to San Antonio, there's like Six Flags, which is like a roller coaster park and stuff like that. But in Corpus, like the beach, Dallas, you have Dallas, like just different cities like that. But down here in Laredo, there's not really much to do down here.
Okay, yeah, I was curious. I've never been to that part of the country, but so as you look forward, like you said, March 31st report date to Fort Myers. How excited are you? I mean, are you looking forward to just starting this whole process? I mean, having been to instructional league, you got a little bit of a taste, but you got to be excited about, where the next 6 months will take you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just ready to get started, like with my first season and get my career going. That's all. I'm just excited to get to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, I think, since you probably played in a real or competitive game. I mean, high school game last year. So I imagine you're excited for that. Have you taken any time to, and I don't know, I ask everybody this, if you write down goals or if you have some goals in your head, maybe where you start or where you end the year, maybe certain statistics that you're going to really want to pay attention to?
Me is like stats. I don't like if I never really like paid attention to stats or anything like that, or tried to like reach a certain amount of stats. But I guess now that really does matter a little bit, like because it's like part of your success, and your success is what like predicts like how you move up in the affiliates and the minors. But my one goal that I have like for my first year is I know I'm starting in the GCL, so my goal like this year is to end up like somewhere other than the GCL, like to make it out of the GCL my first year. That's my goal.
It's a good goal. Of course, the first level above the GCL this year is also in Fort Myers, so you're going to get used to that. Being from Laredo, you're probably used to that weather, but the humidity of Fort Myers might be a little bit different. So, all right, we got Pete who says that he needs a signed Twins hat. So either that or you need a signed Twins hat.
Yeah, that's actually one of my old teammates. Dad. Yeah, he's actually from Corpus down here. That man is funny. Let me tell you that.
Man. You can never tell that until you get the story, but sometimes it's worth posting just to see what you find out. All right. Well, any last thoughts you have for Twins fans? Anything that I have not asked you that you would want Twins fans to know about you, Marco?
No, not really. I'm really a simple guy, just baseball oriented. Like that's all I do and stuff like that. But other than that, no, not really. Just to thank everyone for the support and stuff like that.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure you're excited. I know that as a guy who just has followed the Twins minor league system for 20 years, I'm looking forward to seeing more than one team's box scores. I mean, I love following the Twins, but it's a lot of fun following all the minor leaguers and their trek up to the big leagues. So I'm looking forward to that. Marco, just wanted to say thanks again for doing this. I know it kind of came about fairly quickly, but I appreciate your willingness to do this and open up and tell us some stuff about you. It's been fun getting to know you, and obviously wish you nothing but success in your pro debut this year.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support.
All right, absolutely. And thank you to everyone for listening. It's been a lot of fun. Whether you watch live on Twins Daily Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, definitely appreciate the questions and the support. This will be available shortly on the Twins Daily podcast, wherever you download podcasts. I know we're going to have another show on Thursday night with another Twins prospect, so if you want to listen to that, go ahead. But again, thank you to Marco. Thank you to everyone for listening. And, of course, as we have to end the show, go Twins.